The good, the bad, the ugly. The blue, the gray. The Civil War. The good, the bad, the ugly. The questions. The answers. The showdown. The reason. The goal.
Well, good morning, buckaroos. Welcome to Saturday Morning Western Roundup. Today we're doing 1966's Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. This is the third in Sergio Leone's Man with No Name trilogy. And evidently, I didn't realize till I was doing some research on it, that this is a prequel. The first of his films was Fistful of Dollars, then A Few Dollars More, and then this one. And the reason we know it's a prequel is because this is the movie that Clint Eastwood's character, Blondie, gets his serape, the poncho that he wears in the other movies. And also it takes place during the Civil War, whereas the other two films took place post-Civil War. So I thought that was really interesting. I did not know that until I started doing some research on it. This is Sergio Leone's attempt at being David Lean. He was a big fan of Lawrence of Arabia and wanted to do that type of scope, that type of scale in a Western. Now, he didn't have the same kind of budget Lean had. So, he may do, but, there's a lot of long vistas and shots that look like, you could tell that he's trying to do Lawrence of Arabia. Eastwood wasn't happy with this film. He felt that Tuco was the only character that was really fleshed out in it. And he felt it was bloated rather than expansive. And I have to agree with him this is not my favorite of the trilogies, although I like it. My favorite is A Fistful of Dollars, the first one. where he has those two families, the vendetta type family squabbles going on in this town, and he comes in as the kibitzer, if you will, the third man who wrecks and kind of frees the town. I like that one the best, but I still like this one. I like the attempt at its scope and expanse. It's just that it's a little boring in places. But let's see what else I got here. Eli Wallach, the who plays Tuco, is obviously the like Clint said, the most fleshed out of the characters, and he steals the show because he's so good. Some of his lines were ad-libbed. The famous line where he says, "If you're going to shoot, if you're going to talk, if you're going to shoot, shoot. Don't talk." He just ad-libbed that thing, and I guess he thought it sounded really cool, and I think it sounds really cool too. But they started breaking out laughing on the set because they weren't expecting it, and something about his facial expression set the crew off. But Eli Wallach is one of those great method actors, who always brings something to the table, even in a spaghetti western like this. But this is a good one. Is it great? A lot of people think so. I find it a little long. I have a hard time, sitting. It's not one of those westerns that if it's on, like the Godfather type of thing, where if the Godfather's on, you can hop in at any point and just keep watching. This isn't one of those for me, but it's really good. So let's see who we got here in the chat. Richard B. Good morning. Good morning, Pop Culture Avenger. Fearless Freep is here. Johnny Rando popped in. Is this episode 20 of the Western Roundup? I didn't number these. I number the storytellers, but I didn't number Western Roundup. So you'd have to tell me. Is it number 20? It could be. It's the first spaghetti western, first foreign western that I've done. I know that. You see, in this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with the loaded guns and those who dig. You dig. That's my favorite line in the whole movie. I love that. Neon Todd Studio, good morning. The reason we're on a little bit late today, guys, is because I completely forgot. I was busy. I'm working on usually Saturdays is when I do my Sunshine State strips. And I was, my nose was into it today. And Julie says, "Are you paying attention to the time?" I'm like, uh-oh, what time is it? It was like 8:45. I'm like, I haven't even done any prep or anything. So I had to run downstairs and post it and do some research and get it all together. So that's why I had to push it back 15 minutes. I needed a little extra time. See, I'm always honest. But that doesn't mean you can drink on this one. That's not completely a technical screw up on my part. Stat Zero, good morning. Good morning, chat. Another classic flick I see. This was the last movie that Eastwood did with Leone. He didn't like Leone's perfectionism. He found it got a little bit annoying. And when Eastwood eventually became and rose up to become an incredible Academy Award-winning director, he was always known as, one take Eastwood. It's like shoot it and get it over with and move on. That's how he shoots movies. But Leone was, he probably a million takes, and everything had to be perfect, and that bothered Eastwood. So this was the last one that they did. They tried to get him back for Once Upon a Time in the West. He wanted Eastwood in that film, but he turned it down. Amazing how the trailer misidentifies the bad and the ugly. Yeah, I read something about that. It had to do with the Italian translation. Um, and so when they put the trailer together, it was translated, and so the characters were misidentified. Adam never tires of this film. He really likes it. Very cool. God, I love the showdown at the end. Yep, the old Mexican standoff is great. I really like Lee Van Cleef in this movie too. In he's not in the first of the trilogy. He's in the second though, for a few dollars more, and he plays a good guy in that one. Which is, you don't see Lee Van Cleef usually playing a good guy because he just has that bad guy look. But he's always good on screen. I really like him. And if you remember from the 31 Days of Monsters, he's also the guy that shoots the radium into the beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Fawad Siddiqui, howdy. Hello, sir. Jeremiah Johnson says, and the guns are pre-Civil War guns in this one. Right, but of course, they could have been using the pre-Civil War guns, even afterwards, just like, World War II, they had guns from World War I. Christopher Palmer says Eli was incredible. Indeed. I liked him in the Magnificent Seven, too, as Caldera. He almost didn't take that role because he felt that there wasn't anything to it. And then as he kept reading the script, he realized that even when he wasn't on screen, they were talking about his character. And he thought that was really cool. So he decided to take that role. Eastwood still came back to redub restored shots for the longer special edition. Yeah, there were scenes that were cut out from the theatrical release, so they were never dubbed. And TCM a few years back put like director's cut, if you will, together and put those scenes back in. And they had Eli Wallach and Clint Eastwood redub them. But Lee Van Cleef had passed away in 1989, so they had to have another actor do his lines. Yeah, the Ennio Morricone soundtrack is amazing in this. That's the one thing you just it always jumps out at you. You hear that wah 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 wah. You know exactly what it is. And he did the other two films too, but this one really sets it apart. Good morning, Vaughn. Good morning, Dave. Love the two kinds of people trope throughout the film. Yeah. Yeah, that gets used a bunch of times. There's two kinds of people, and then they throw in the analogies. Saw this while doing a film class in college, and it blew my mind. I know now it's a super heightened form of a Western, but it perfectly synced with the comic book sensibility I had. Yeah, it's somewhat bombastic. It's over the top. I could definitely see that. My brother, my lizard. It's an inside joke. Did you see my review of Godzilla versus Kong, Chris? Whew. Not what we hoped for, my friend. John Marsden. Hey, Graham. Hope you're well, my friend. Thank you, John. Hope you are too this morning. Dead Drop. Good morning, Graham in chat. Oh, Fawad said he wouldn't have developed an appreciation for normal Westerns if not for this. Oh, I don't know. If you got sat down in front of a Ford Western, you probably would have. Jeremiah Johnson says he has heard a rumor that Eastwood still has the Cobra-handled pistol on his mantle. That'd be cool. Eastwood said Sergio's filming close-ups was childlike. I'm not sure what that means or how that's childlike, but that's funny that Eastwood, deconstructs the director that made him a star. Well, him and Don Siegel. He has more in common with Don Siegel, I think, in his directing style. Siegel came from B films and, lower budgets. He made some great larger budget films too, but he was, get it done, get it on film, move on, that type of thing. My VHS copies will always be my preferred format. It's weird for me to buy newer editions of films I grew up with because I'm used to the aspect ratios of the old TVs. The widescreen feels weird. Yeah, but problem is when they do that, if it's not in the widescreen, so much of the cinematographer's vision is cut off, and I hate that. Especially when you get to, some of these things are like Tadeo and Panavision and these really widescreen things. If you watch Lawrence of Arabia in a TV format, I mean, geez, half the desert are missing. Sometimes guys are riding up and you can't even see them, The long shots do feel like comic panels. Some of these stunts made me wonder how many people were hurt during the filming. Yeah, back in the day, obviously there was no digitizing anything. These were all stuntmen doing their things, Facebook banned me for 30 days for being honest. I hope they don't get on you for the Kong review. Hey, they YouTube knocked Billy Tucci and Niall Scala's show off the air for a month. It's just coming back this month because they dared to show and give a bad review to that Wonder Woman film. Meanwhile, everybody else is saying it's bad, but for some reason they got singled out. David Riddle, I like when Tuco grabbed the guy and pushed him off the train. Yeah, that's a great scene. And speaking of stuntmen, did you see all the rocks that were, big size rocks that were on the side of that train platform that they jumped off of? You wonder, if any of those guys got hurt. Todd Fox, good morning. I've been watching a lot of episodes of Rawhide. The contrast from TV cowboy Clint to spaghetti Clint is really interesting. Yeah, he really evolved as an actor and really found his niche, his range of where he needed to stay in to be comfortable. Yeah, you look at some of his early stuff, like his appearances in some of those early Universal monster films like Revenge of the Creature, where he has to deliver just a couple lines, and it's like, oof, who is this guy? He's never going to amount to anything. It reminds me of the studio executive, was reviewing talent, and he, wrote the talent's name, and then he wrote his thoughts, and he said, can't sing, can't act, can dance a little. And the guy he was reviewing was Fred Astaire. So who can say who's a good judge of talent, Richard Cross. I was listening to an orchestra doing the theme songs from Clint Eastwood movies. Incredible, by the way, and learned that the wah 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 sound after the flute sound is actually a person, not an instrument. Wow, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Tombstones and Graveyard and High Plains Drifter were homages to Eastwood's influences, Leone and Siegel. Very cool. I can understand that about director and cinematographer's vision is skewed with the TV format. It's just how I'm used to seeing it. Well, fair enough. That's how you like it. You know, when I was a kid, I watched so many things on this little 13-inch Sony black and white TV. I didn't even know Star Trek was in color until 1974. So, yeah, I mean, and the movies, too. A lot of movies that I'd seen in black and white were actually in color. Danny D likes black and white westerns better than Technicolor. I think it depends on the cinematographer, the theme of the film. You know, some are better suited because of their content to black and white than color. But then there are some that are, you know, it's like saying horror movies in color or black and white are better than in color. That's true for some, but you know, I've always contended that The Creature from the Black Lagoon suffers from being in black and white. It should have been in color. It would have been a much better movie. Oh, good morning, Dr. Mask. Late on this one. Have to go back later. Love Clint. Oh, okay, cool. Well, glad you made it in. All right, I think I got everybody covered in here. So thanks for tuning in this morning. Your homework for next week is a 1976 really violent Western in the Sam Peckinpah vein. And I think that it was done that way specifically to reference Peckinpah. And that is Charlton Heston and James Coburn's The Last Hard Men. Barbara Hershey's in it as well. That was directed by Andrew McLaughlin. So that one is a cool film. Check it out, and we'll come back here Saturday and talk about it. Wednesday on The Storytellers, I have a little double feature. I have Mitch and Elizabeth Breitweiser are going to be on to talk about their influences and about their publishing venture with Allegiance Press and all the great stuff that they're putting out. So come back for that on Wednesday. And again, let's see, the Professionals on Thursday will be on, I forget whose channel it's on. Well, just look on Facebook and we'll be posting about it. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We shall see you on Wednesday for the Storytellers, right? Okay. Have a great weekend.